Okay, this Sunday at A Place to Talk, we will be looking at Matthew chapter 7, 24 through 27. And as we're working through our red letter conversations, and that's where we'll be this Sunday. Wise atheists versus, or I shouldn't put verses there. Of course, I'm using AI to help me with these images, right? This YouTube thumbnail, but wise atheists, foolish Christians, or is it the other way around? Is it wise Christians or foolish atheists? Or is that the wrong way to look at the way life works? Maybe it has nothing to do with wisdom, and foolish doesn't go directly with atheist and Christian. What do you think it is? Let's look at this text and kind of discuss it. Why am I even using this type of title? Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who builds his house on the rock. The rain came down, the storms rose, the wind blew and beat against the house, yet it did not fall because it had a foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. The rain came, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against the house, and it fell with a great crash. The questions I want to ask this coming Sunday at A Place to Talk, I want to talk about are followers of Jesus, are people who go to church on Sundays and claim to be Christian, are they practicing the words Jesus taught? Are there people that are practicing the words that Jesus taught, maybe without even realizing that Jesus taught them, and maybe without even acknowledging, knowing what they're doing, right? So sometimes there are humanists and atheists who love, who are compassionate, who forgive, who turn the other cheek, who don't repay violence with violence. And there are Christians who call for war, who scream, let's defend our family. Let's defend Israel at all costs. If we have to kill people, then we just have to kill people. I remember a claimed Christian one time talking about carpet bombing, which was just this idea that hitting bombs as if you were just carpeting the whole area. And I thought, well, isn't that the opposite of Jesus? So sometimes we have wise humanist or atheist, and we have foolish Christians, because building your house on the rock is doing what Jesus said, putting it into practice. When you hear these words, wise and foolish, what kinds of people immediately come to mind? And does Jesus's definition challenge that picture? If two people hear the exact same teaching, but only one lives it, which one does Jesus call wise? And what does that say about the relationship between knowledge and wisdom? Can someone sincerely identify as a Christian and still be building their life on shaky principles like sand? If so, what might that look like today? Have you ever met someone who wasn't religious but consistently demonstrated qualities like honesty, humility, forgiveness, compassion, self-control? What made them seem wise? I have absolutely met these people. Absolutely. Is it possible to admire Jesus' teaching without actually practicing them? If so, how might that be the modern equivalent of building on the sand? I admire a lot of Jesus' teachings that are really, really hard to practice. Like that one that's hard for me is like selling everything that you have and giving to the poor. I'm not there. I like to give. I like to do acts of generosity. But I haven't been willing enough yet to come to the point where I'm willing to say, I'd be homeless to provide for others. I'm not there. Jesus says the storms come to both houses. What kinds of storms reveal whether someone's life has been built on a solid foundation? What's more important? Oh, you know what? As I think about that, I think about some people that I've seen struggle with things like cancer or childhood diseases, and they just handled it like a champ. Those are the storms that come and reveal great character. Now, not everybody has those major storms. What's more important in Jesus' illustration? What someone believes about themselves, what label they wear, or how they actually live? Why? Why is that? If Jesus were evaluating our lives today, what evidence would he likely point to as proof that we have or haven't put his words into practice? Can wisdom be recognized wherever it appears, even if someone doesn't share your religious beliefs? If so, how does that fit or not fit with Jesus' teaching that the foundation is his words? If a compassionate atheist consistently practices principles that Jesus taught, while a professing Christian ignores those same teachings, which person's life more closely resembles the wise builder in the parable? And what does that question reveal about the difference between identity and obedience? Two stories that we'll talk about this Sunday would be Nicholas Winton and some German Christians who gathered under swastikas and called for very nationalistic Christianity in Germany in the days leading to and part of what happened with Hitler. Okay, so that's what we'll be talking about this Sunday at A Place to Talk. Are you a wise person who builds your house on foundations and principles that Jesus taught? Or are you a foolish person who builds your life on principles and foundations that are like sand and not what Jesus taught? That's what we'll talk about this Sunday. Hope you can be a part. Look forward to seeing you.